WIFTBPM.
Stand for Black People Media Network, 21 Souls, and Soul Foundation presents the official Naperville Soul Fest downtown Naperville, Saturday, June 5th at Neighbor Settlement, 523 South Webster Street, downtown Naperville. Starting R&B diva Kiki Wyatt, gospel Grammy winner DeAndrea Johnson, and many more. Downtown Naperville, Saturday, June 5th at Neighbor Settlement, 523 South Webster Street, Naperville, Illinois. Get your tickets on eventbrite.com. Sponsored by What's In for Black People Media Network, 21 Souls, and Soul Foundation.
Broken screen? Crash system? Are you in need of spyware or virus removal from your computer? Well, contact RPC Computer Repair in South Shore and let us help you with all your computer repair services and print needs. Need office or print production services, copies, scans, fax, or even notary service? Then stop by and support RPC Computer Repair and Print Shop located 1741 East 71st Street in the 71st Street corridor, newly revitalized South Shore areas, and let RPC be your one-stop shop, where we believe RPC is your PC. RPC Computer Repair is also a UPS access point where you can drop off and pick up your important packages. So let RPC be of service to you. Call RPC Computer Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. through 6 p.m. at 773-966-4457. That's 773-966-4457. Visit RPC at rpccomputeringinc.com for more information.
Saturday, June 19th, 2021. Grab the family and join the Woodlawn for the second annual Juneteenth Block Party. Join the Woodlawn team for a day of vendors, activities, DJs, live music and broadcasts, rooftop experiences, and much more. Vendor space is still available. For tickets and more information, please visit www.thewoodlawn1200.com. That's www.thewoodlawn1200.com. We do this for the culture.
Stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to.
We all remember our life before COVID-19. The parades, the lakefront barbecues, taste of Chicago, the happy hours, and most importantly, loving those unforgettable moments with our friends and families. Getting Chicago vaccinated is what will make the activities we miss safe for everyone. So let's get back to it, Chicago. Let's come together to end this pandemic. Find your vaccine at chi.gov/COVIDvax.
What about my love? Seems you have forgotten love. I do believe that something went wrong somewhere. What about my feelings? Do they mean anything at all? You got me so in love, I'm too blind to see.
everybody. Tio, Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman here on What's in It for the Black People Media Network. Going with a touch of soul here today, and I'm grateful to God to have me here in the studio at the What's in It for the Black People Media, radio station and Facebook social media network. It's so important to give praises to God first and foremost. And the reason I titled my show A Touch of Soul is because I love super soul music. I love the music and I love the entertainers and all the super soul singers from the past and the present. But today we want to take on a topic that I feel is very, very important when you talk about family law. We want to talk about child support, what families should do when they find themselves in a legal situation. So a lot of times people are not prepared as they should be when things happen, like somebody pass away. You got to deal with the estate, probate. You got to deal with all the issues of a man. And there's a negative connotation with child support that I want to take on. So I've invited a good friend of mine to come on the show today and kind of like break it down for us from a legal perspective. A good friend of mine, her name is Attorney Maria Barlow of the Barlow Law Firm. So how you doing this morning, Maria?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good. Can't complain. So we're going to get down to it, but before I go there, I might just put a little super soul out there just for a second, just something to have a little fun, because, it's Sunday morning, I want to wake everybody up. This is a different type of church, everybody, okay? Different kind of church. So this is a singer, Brother Joe, blast, not from the too far past, but Brother Joe had this record, All the Things. I love that record. Here we go. I'm try to get a little bit. Here we go. Lead me to the subway, I'll go down. Nothing can be sweeter than the sounds of making love. Baby, when I start, I just can't stop. I love you from the bottom to the top. Nothing is forbidden when we touch. Lady, I want to do all the things that you want me to. That's just a little something. I'm just messing around with my little voice here. That's why I call this show A Touch of Soul, everybody, so we can have a good time. I want you, everybody, to just put on your good time shoes or whatever the case may be. So let's delve right into this subject matter, Attorney Maria. So let me ask you this question first. Tell everybody a little bit about your law firm, how long you've been practicing law, and then you also had some political ambitions as well in the past, and then you might have some coming up one of these days in the future, if I'm not right about that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So thank you for having me. Always a blessing to get with you and get with your audiences. Yeah. So I'm from the Barlow Law Firm. I started my firm in 2011. Okay. And we concentrate primarily in family law, which includes child support, child custody, divorce, and anything family related. We also do some estate planning, and we do a little bit of concealed carry self-defense. Oh, yeah? Yes.
So we'll talk about those three subject areas, right? Okay. So okay, now why is there such a negative connotation, even though Father's Day is coming up next week, so why is there such a negative connotation with men in particular paying child support? Why are people afraid of that word, child support? And then also, just to add to that question, a lot of times guys pay child support and then they take it out on the kids and they don't spend the time with the kids like they should because they think they're just paying child support and that's enough.
Right. So you have a mix of things that happen with child support. I think part of the reason that child support has such a bad connotation is because people automatically tie their having to pay child support to them being a deadbeat parent or them being a deadbeat dad. We'll use dad specifically for child support at this in this conversation. So for whatever reason, when a person gets served that they have to come to child support or that they have to pay child support, it becomes a very upsetting experience because they always feel, oh, this means someone's going to think I don't take care of my children. Okay. And that is not the case. The court does not consider you as a deadbeat by virtue of you being in child support or by virtue of you paying child support. Mm-hmm. It just happens, though, that the law says if you are no longer in the household, that the other parent is entitled to support for the children. And that is just the law. There's no emotions to it. There's no bad connotation. Obviously, if you are not paying support or you're not taking care of your children, then you probably are a deadbeat parent.
So why do you think some men pick up automatic resentments against the woman because he has to pay the child support, and then at the same time, some guys, I've heard these stories time and time again, some guys do not want to spend time with their kids because they're paying child support. Why do you think that mindset actually develops every now and then?
Well, I think that sometimes you have a situation where the parties already don't get along. Mom and dad do not really get along. And perhaps dad was providing some financial support that dad saw fit.
Okay.
And mom decided, no, I'm done with this. I'm going to court. For whatever reason, the mere virtue of court arriving in the person's life, they feel like, oh my God, you're making this worse. You're putting the law in my life. You're dragging me to court. They just see court as a bad thing. And court can be a bad experience for men, for women, for whoever is there. It can be a very bad experience, but it doesn't have to be. Prepare yourself. Okay. Don't feel like someone is saying you are not a good provider because you're not paying support. I encourage people, listen, if you're going to go to court, get your parenting time, get your child support established, and this will help you avoid problems in the future.
Okay.
I do see a lot of cases where parents decide, okay, since I have to pay you child support, I'm not doing anything else for the child.
That's what I'm talking about, right.
And I'm also not going to see my child. It's not hurting the other parent. They've already been raised. It's really going to hurt your child.
Exactly.
This is your child. This was your choice. So decide to step up. Decide, listen, if you're going to lay down, know that it may cost you, right? And know that you might have to step up. That's always my advice. Know that this might cost you, or take precautions.
Yeah, that's so important, because I know a lot of people, when we talk about child support, I hear, I've seen it in the court system time and time again playing out, and I see guys, they will go spend money on everything else, but when it comes to taking care of their child, sometimes individuals are not so proactive, in some cases, not in all cases, but in some. So let me ask you this here. What are some of the toughest cases you've seen with child support?
They're all difficult. I mean, you have situations where I think part of why some people don't want to pay the support is because they feel like, they want an accounting, meaning they want to know what you've been spending the money on.
Okay.
And you do have situations where mom may have 3 children and you're the only person paying child support.
Okay.
So now that money is being divided between the 3 kids versus just your 1 kid. And people take issue with that. But it's such as life.
So what happens if a guy does not pay child support? Let's say you miss one payment. What happens?
If you miss one payment, it depends on the mother. Mom may take you back into court and ask the court to hold you in contempt.
Okay.
If you're found in contempt, the court can also issue what's called a body attachment, which for purposes of conversation is a civil warrant.
Okay.
And the court can take you into custody for your failure to pay. I always recommend this. If you lose your job or get injured, anything like that, where you're not able to work and you don't have an income coming in, the very next day that happens, you need to be at the courthouse asking to modify. Here's why. You're not working. You don't have anything else to do but to go to court and ask to modify. Even if you get another job in 3 weeks, at least that 3-week time period, you wouldn't be, that support amount would not be due. A lot of men find themselves in trouble because they lose their jobs and they don't go down to court to tell the court what is going on. And they wait until they get a new job. But now you owe the child support for the time period that you lost the job, between losing the job and finding the new job, because you've yet to tell the court. And they won't go backwards. They'll only go from the date of filing usually.
Oh, seriously? So so for people that are watching and listening here, so I want to make it clear also. Now, let's say an individual does not have a job. A guy's not working, but his girl or his wife has put him in for child support, but this guy's not working at all. So let's say the money just continues to add up.
Absolutely.
And how long does it take before they actually put you in jail, possibly? Because let's say you go to court and you say, Your Honor, I don't even have a job.
Right.
What happens?
So if you have a current support order, so let's say you have a current support order, you're supposed to pay $400 a month.
Okay.
And then you just sit on your hands, you don't do anything, and you don't go into court. And say, hey, court, I lost my job, I can no longer pay. So let's say you go months and months and months without paying, and mom or the state's attorney oftentimes is helping mom to bring you in. The court's going to hold you in contempt. They're going to set an amount that you have to pay.
Wow.
If you continue to not pay that set amount, so let's say it's $1,000. If you don't pay that $1,000 by date X, it is a good chance the court is going to take you into custody and set your bond at that $1,000.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, all the time. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you always go down to the courthouse and let the court know what is going on. A common misconception that I see is that people believe that the court knows what's going on in your life. I can promise you this. The court knows nothing unless you come to court to tell them.
Talk about it, yeah.
Yes, you have to come to court to tell them, I lost my job. I've had another child, so I need to modify. Or this kid's turned 18. Take them off of my child support order. You have to keep the court apprised. That's your duty.
Okay. So the main thing, the person, whoever it might be, the male or the female, they need to make sure they do due diligence and then take care of the paperwork business and just.
Always.
Okay, good.
Always. And make no mistake about it, there are mothers that pay child support. There are mothers that pay child support as well. If they are not the custodial parent or they're not doing the lion's share of the time, they absolutely pay child support.
Well, I was about to ask you that question. So you have women that pay child support just the same to the men.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that just a little bit. That's not well, the thing about it, because it's always on the man. A lot of people put out the stories about the men. Like R. Kelly is an example, because it was in the news anyway, about him paying back child support. He was in contempt of court at one time.
Yes.
Then he had to pay a whole lot of back child support because he's a superstar, had a lot of money, whatever the case may be.
Great example. So even though the amount R. Kelly had to pay was substantially higher, that scenario and that situation that he went through is exactly what many people go through because they fail to act. They fail to come into court and tell the court, I have had a change in income. Recalculate my support. Right. Now, obviously, I'll tell you this. If your income goes up, I can assure you most men are going to avoid court, but they don't take the same action when it goes down. You have to go into court. You want things to be easier for you. Go into court. Let the court know that your situation has changed.
Same way. So therefore, as you talk about this child support issue, the main thing, just stay on top of the business. Now, I do know families where a male and a female can come up with their own agreement. Do you recommend that if a woman and a man sit down without going to court and they work out an agreement?
That works a lot of the time, and if it works for you, absolutely do it. Yeah. But I will say this. If you have and again, we're going to use mom as the custodial parent and dad as the non-custodial parent for the example, because that is most common what we see. If you have an agreement with the other parent and dad is consistently paying support, you may not need to go into court. And mom is consistently following the schedule that you all have established for parenting time. You may not need to go into court. However, if dad gets mad and he doesn't pay support for a couple of months at a time, or mom gets mad because whatever reason and she doesn't allow you to see your kids when she's upset, you absolutely should go into court and you should get everything memorialized via a court order, because then you have the backing of that court order to get mom held in contempt because she is not allowing you to see your kid, or get dad held in contempt because he is not paying support.
Yeah, that's pretty tough, because I can recall a story about a former NFL football player, Ray Caruth. He had his girlfriend murdered while she was pregnant. And now his son just graduated from high school, Chancellor Williams, I think that's his name. And he has a disability because he was in his mother's womb when his mother was killed. He came out, he was disabled, whatever the case may be. But the point is, it was all about Ray Caruth didn't want to pay the child support, you know? And it's just sickening how a man would go that far. And I put up a post saying the man, he's going to always be a number one coward in my book, because when they caught up with Ray Caruth, he was hiding in somebody's trunk of the car, hiding like a little coward, man. You had this lady murdered, man.
Right.
Because you didn't wait. Why do you think some men go that far? Because it's that mindset with child support is going to kill me. And I think he has some other kids as well. So, that's just a rare case scenario, but I've heard this story time and time again. Now, you have married men that mess around on their wives and they get another woman pregnant, and all of a sudden they want to take the woman's life because the woman ain't going to get a baby up. Right. If you mess with the lady, she might not want to get a baby up. So have you heard those kind of extreme cases before?
I had it didn't lead to a death, but that does happen. And you hear those stories. That's horrible.
Yes.
And I always tell people, like, listen, it's just money. Figure out how to make some more. Okay. You can't make more life. You can make more money, right? You can't get another life. You decide, I don't want to pay this money. Yeah. So you run the risk of spending the rest of your life in jail. That is not a good thing. Right. Listen. When you lay down, be ready to stand up, and that is it. Okay. You cannot continue to rely upon, she said she was on the pill. You can't rely on that. You hear the horror stories. You guys go to the barbershops. You hear the horror stories, and I think part of why men get so upset too, if they have other children and they've been through the child support process, sometimes they go in by themselves. They are not educated on the law. They're there based on emotions and not the law. And so they expect one thing in court, or they don't know how to be prepared for court, so they get burned.
Wow.
Remember, the judge can't help you. The judge can't give you legal advice. So I always tell people, you can go in for a consult with a lawyer. It doesn't have to be my office. You can go into any family law office.
Okay.
That way you know your rights and you know the other parent's rights before you go into court.
Okay, got it.
I had a case where I had a client who he was married and he had a wife and he had a baby by another woman, and it came to fruition when this kid was about 4 or 5 years old. Okay. And it really turned into a problem because he no longer wanted to see the child because the wife was not prepared to accept that he had stepped out and had this child. So he was paying support, but unfortunately, he just decided he picked his wife over his child. You know, you have to make better decisions. Wow. Now this kid is fatherless because of dad's bad choices.
Well, I plan to hit you with a heavyweight question now, okay? Now, this is deep here. Before we get into the divorce law and all that kind of stuff. So let's say you just made a comment that a person picked their wife over the child.
Yes, he did.
So now, you know, there's a lot of connotations that come along with that because is it proper? I mean, we talking about biblical or whatever people's principles might be. Once a man gets married, the wife comes first. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
But if you have a child that's not by your wife, a child on the side, so to speak, that's your child.
Yes.
But is it, you know, that's just heavy for me to kind of really understand. I know the wife, you got to put the wife first. I got that. I agree with that. Let me say that to everybody out there. Put your wife first. Put that woman first. You're not going to get no bad advice from me. And then I want to say this as well. If you're a guy out here and you are married, you should not be messing around. Nobody's perfect. I got that. But once you have a child and you're married, that's on you. That's not on the woman that you're messing around with. That's something you did. Even though the woman participated with you, that's something you did. Now you're bringing that drama into your household. And so guys out there, and I want you to really hear me, I'm not really trying to give you major advice, but the thing is this here. If you're going to mess around, tell your woman you're going to mess around. Don't do it. I'm just let her know. I'm just saying, tell her. I mean, that's just for me. Everybody doesn't have to agree. And I know you raise your eyebrows on that one there, but my thing is this here. Just be straight up. If you want to be, let me put it like this. If you want to be a player, don't get married then. That's probably a better way to put it. If you want to be a player, what do you think about that?
That's not, I don't disagree with you.
Battle back with me.
Listen, I don't disagree with you that you should tell your partner, but the thing is this. You cannot be out reckless and having a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women and not expect drama to follow.
Okay.
Wife or no wife, right?
Okay.
First of all, most men are going to say, hey, baby, I'm going to go cheat on you. Reason being, guess what? If you are a woman, one of two things going to happen. You're going to say, okay, or B, okay, well, I'm going to get another guy too. But then at that point, what's the point of being in a relationship?
Without a doubt.
You are, no one cares if you cheat, right? Yeah. Other than your partner. But when you are making a lot of single family households, that is a problem. That starts to break down the society that we live in because you've got 4 kids by 4 different women on 4 different sides of the city, none of which you are seeing. And these women are trying to make a way, and you are on support for 4 different women, and you are complaining because your check has to be brought in on a string because it's about to float away. But you made all of these choices. You have to make better choices. You have to protect yourself. You have a duty to do that. And you're right. Put your wife first. But if he had chosen his wife and put his wife first, he would not have been in that situation. Yeah. He made a child. He should father that child in that he steps up financially and physically. These kids have to eat, but they also should be reared because they are going to grow up. So are you going to let your kid grow up or be raised? You should be raising your kid.
That's what I'm talking about because I know how important it is to have a father and a mother in your life.
Absolutely.
And then even when parents parent, like co-parent, one parent's in one house, another parent's in another house, the kids still has an impact on the kids to a degree.
For sure. Okay. And people should work towards co-parenting. Listen, that gentleman, that may not be his wife next year. That's always going to be his child. And him stepping up for his kid does not mean that he is not putting his wife first.
Okay.
It is for better or for worse. So you either leave because he's now had a child on you that you don't want to accept, or you accept that child and let him step up to be a father.
Well, also, Attorney Maria, a lot of people are in relationships or marriages because of finances. So, for example, somebody say, well, the woman should leave because the guy had another child, but this man might be taking care of her, the household finances and everything. It's not as easy to make a move as some people may think it might be because a lot of people deal with infidelity. All kinds of crazy stuff happens in marriages and relationships. So what advice would you give a woman, like if the guy is taking care of all the business? I mean, what kind of advice would you give a woman in that situation?
You know, I've had this situation a lot. Wait, let me say this.
Yeah.
I want to tell my dad happy birthday. Today's my dad's
All right,
birthday.
good. That's right.
So I had the blessing of growing up in a 2-parent household, and it's 11 of us. So, and I'm the youngest. So I want to tell my dad happy birthday and love him. But as far as, and funny enough, my mom did not work. When I was growing up, my father took care of our family.
Of the business. Cool.
Yes,
good,
absolutely.
Good information.
So the blessing, okay?
Yes.
And so I feel very strongly about fathers being active, okay? Mm-hmm. As far as what to do if your partner is cheating, I always say, listen, and I've had this happen with some friends. And so when I take my attorney hat on, off, and we have a conversation, but it's based on my experience, I always tell my friends, like, listen, you've got to take stock in your relationship and decide what you value most. Is it fidelity, right? Because many people cheat. And I'm not going to say men, even though that's the connotation of men.
Men cheat, right.
But many people cheat. So are you leaving because this person cheated? And are you going to leave the next person as they cheat and the next person and the next person? You've got to take stock in your relationship. But when it comes to cheating, you also have to think about this. Your partner is cheating. Your partner is having sex outside of your relationship. Your partner is also risking your life. Because guess what? People are still getting STDs.
That's right.
People are still dying. So if you don't consider that, one thing I value more than anything is my own life, because I cannot get another one. So I take cheating very seriously because you are now risking my life. It is outside of you going on a date and things like that. Guess what? That life happens. Things are going to happen in long-term relationships. But at the point that you risk my life, oh, no, that is not going to happen.
Well, let me put you in a hypothetical role play here, all right?
Sure.
So I'm your husband. I come home and say, hey, baby, you know, I need to talk to you. But you just know that I love you, right? You know what that's headed, right? Just know that I love you. And, I haven't been as, honest in a relationship in our marriage, baby. But I don't want to lose you, but I need to tell you something, right? And, the lady I've been cheating with, Maria, she just had my baby. I'm putting you in a hypothetical situation. How would you respond to that as a lady? I mean, we just hypothetically talking about it.
Okay, so this is not legal advice,
That's
but
right,
after I get out the county, I mean, that would be horrible. Honestly, I'm going to take stock in my relationship. Yeah. What does my partner bring to the table? Okay. Me personally, I don't think that that's something that I can accept, given the lifestyle that I have set up for myself. Yeah. I don't think I like to travel. You know, there are a lot of things that I like to do. And I don't want to be with a partner that is not stepping up for his kid. But I also don't want to be raising a newborn. So it's just probably no longer going to fit. It's one thing that my partner comes home and says he's cheated. There is another thing that you come home and now you have a baby. Now, granted, we'll go through the DNA process and all of that. But if the child is yours, it is a good chance I'm going to leave. You'll probably still be my friend for a while, probably at least 3 weeks. But after that, I am leaving. Listen, you take what you brought to the relationship. I'm going to take what I bought. I'm not here to shake you down and be in a fight and things like that in court. I'm not here for that. Let's divide what we've accumulated together, and you have a nice life with you and your baby and the mother.
Well, it's a tough scenario because I know it plays out time and time again in the universe out here, and I hear them stories all the time. So because as a man, imagine you really do love your wife or your girl. You love her, but you messed around on her, and all of a sudden this baby's here, and now you sleeping with your wife on the side of the bed, and you up all night, and your wife sleep, but your wife can tell something's going on. Mm-hmm. And I want to say this out of respect for women myself, because I'm trying to pay it forward to women. As far as my reality, this is the thing. I believe women are more loyal than men. And I say that because if a woman really loves you, that woman not going to mess around on you. That woman really loves the guy she's with. Mm-hmm. She's going to be loyal all the way to the end. I mean, that's my experience with women. I can't speak about nobody else. A man could really love a woman. Some men, not all men, some men would not cheat on their woman they would not do it, even though they love the woman, but some men would try to justify, say, well, I can love 2-3 women at one time and all that. You got all different types of belief systems. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So this is a real good conversation for people need to hear this because when you talk about family law, you talk about child support, we got to get past some of those thoughts. And now what are the benefits we know the benefits of child support because it's not just about the money. So it's all about spending that quality time with that child.
So don't get the two confused.
Exactly.
And a lot of people do that.
Right.
And a lot of people think child support and parenting time have something to do with each other, and they don't.
Okay.
You can not pay support, and I'm not advising you not pay support, but you cannot pay support and still see your children, or you can pay support and not see your children. Those are two separate issues.
Two separate issues.
Totally separate issues.
Okay.
The thing is this, again, whether you pay support or you don't pay support, step up for your kids. You should be paying support, though, especially if you know the other parent needs it. Stop worrying about her hair and her nails. Guess what? Her hair and nails were done when you all met. That's what attracted you to her. So she's going to continue to get them done. Right. So make sure your kid eats. Make sure your kid is good. And I know that a lot of men are like, well, I see my kid and they don't have new clothes and they have this and they have that. Then guess what? You should have chosen better, or pony up a little more dough, or you make sure that you do a little extra for your kid. If mom has 3 kids when you all meet, guess what? She is going to use a portion of your child support to take care of those other 3 kids. That is life. So you have to consider that when choosing your partners. If you know, I always say this, if you're going to lay down with somebody, decide today before you do it, whether or not you might want this person in your life for the rest of your life, because they will be there.
Yeah, for the rest of your life. Right?
Yes, a parenting commitment is substantially longer than that of a marriage, because that kid is yours forever. And if you're a good parent, you are always going to be there for graduations, for births of your grandkids, for weddings, funerals, all of it.
Everything. Okay.
You're going to be there. So this is a lifelong commitment. Marriage is not always a lifelong commitment. Parenting is. That is a lifelong commitment.
Okay. So this is good conversation. For the people that are watching and listening, I want to thank you all once again, because what's going on is that we need to have these conversations, because a lot of people are scared to take on these issues. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you there's a lot of people throughout the entire world dealing with these type of issues all the time. So we're going to take, I guess, a quick break, and then we'll come right back to talk about divorce.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Take a quick break. Okay, cool.
WIFTBPM.
We all remember our life before COVID-19. The parades, the lakefront barbecues, taste of Chicago, the happy hours, and most importantly, loving those unforgettable moments with our friends and families. Getting Chicago vaccinated is what will make the activities we miss safe for everyone. So let's get back to it, Chicago. Let's come together to end this pandemic. Find your vaccine at chi.gov/COVIDvax.
Saturday, June 19th, 2021. Grab the family and join the Woodlawn for the second annual Juneteenth block party. Join the Woodlawn team for a day of vendors, activities, DJs, live music and broadcasts, rooftop experiences, and much more. Vendor space is still available. For tickets and more information, please visit www.thewoodlawn1200.com. That's www.thewoodlawn1200.com. We do this for the culture.
Stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to.
Broken screen? Crashed system? Are you in need of spyware or virus removal from your computer? Well, contact RPC Computer Repair in South Shore and let us help you with all your computer repair services and print needs. Need office or print production services, copies, scans, fax, or even notary service? Then stop by and support RPC Computer Repair and Print Shop, located 1741 East 71st Street in the 71st Street corridor, newly revitalized South Shore areas, and let RPC be your one-stop shop, where we believe RPC is your PC. RPC Computer Repair is also a UPS access point, where you can drop off and pick up your important packages. So let RPC be of service to you. Call RPC Computer Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. through 6 p.m. at 773-966-4457. That's 773-966-4457. Visit RPC at rpccomputeringinc.com for more information.
And for Black People Media Network, 21 Souls and Soul Foundation presents the official Naperville Soul Fest downtown Naperville, Saturday, June 5th at Neighbor Settlement, 523 South Webster Street, downtown Naperville. Starting R&B diva Kiki Wyatt, gospel Grammy winner Leandria Johnson, and many more. Downtown Naperville, Saturday, June 5th at Neighbor Settlement, 523 South Webster Naperville, Illinois. Get tickets on eventbrite.com. Sponsored by West Info Black People Media Network, 21
you and me. WIIFTBP. Media's just for you and me.
They call him Mr. Ceasefire. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Stopping shootings and killings almost every day. Trying to make a better way. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Mr. Ceasefire. He's a man on a mission with a plan. Doing the best he can.
Okay, everybody, we're back on the air here with What's in It for the Black People Radio. I want to send a shout out to all my sponsors. Dr. Willie Wilson, one of the greatest guys I know here in the state of Illinois and in the United States. Dr. Willie Wilson continues to give and support a lot of people all the time, a man of God. I want to thank Youth Connection Charter Schools as well, and Chicago Cred 2020 Vision to reduce gun violence in Chicago. Some of my sponsors there. I want to make sure that I acknowledge my sponsors. And then State Farm Insurance, Larry Williams out of the Austin Community. State Farm Insurance. If you need life insurance, life insurance, automobile insurance, and home insurance, reach out to State Farm Insurance. Larry Williams, his number is 773-379-9009. So with that being said, also, if you need family law, reach out to attorney Maria Barlow, the Barlow Law Firm. And at this time, then, Miss Attorney Maria Barlow, we're going to segue into this here divorce court type of situation, right? So, Al Green had that song, Love and Happiness. Mm-hmm. So when a divorce, something's going wrong. There's somebody on the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Talking about how he can make it or she can make it right. Absolutely. So what I'm talking about now, we're dealing with divorce law. Right. Okay, so divorce is sticky and tricky, and a lot of things take place. So what are some of your experience dealing with divorce law and dealing with divorce anyway?
So just like we talked about child support and custody and things like that, those same issues manifest themselves with married people who are divorcing, okay, in addition to other financial issues.
Exactly.
So one thing that I always tell people, first of all, before you get married, you need to have a real conversation about what you expect in a marriage. Okay. You need to have a real conversation. You should acknowledge what a divorce looks like and what your rights are. I always advise people to get a prenuptial agreement. Reason being, life happens. And people always say, well, that takes the romance out of it. We're never going to break up and this and that. Great. That's your love head talking, right?
Yes.
You need to, that's your heart. Your heart is telling you that. But you also should use your brain, too, because things happen. And when you are in your emotions, you act differently. And so when you are going into a marriage, if you look at a prenuptial agreement and start to have a conversation about what your expectations would be if things are to separate, I think a lot of people might decide not to marry because they realize that they are having, they see marriage very differently.
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize that you go into a marriage and you're working, and let's say you're making $80,000 a year and your partner never works and you guys are married for 10 years. People get very upset to find out, ta-da, you got to continue to take care of your spouse. I don't know why people don't realize that. And they're like, no, but I took care of my partner for 10 years. I'm done. I'm finished. That's why I want to be divorced. But now you have established a lifestyle with that partner. And so now you have to continue to help that partner and support that partner for another time period outside of the marriage so that they can get back on their feet.
So what are the current Illinois laws when it comes down to, let's say, is it like when you get a divorce, is everything has to be split 50-50 or something like that?
No.
Okay.
Everything has to be split equitably, okay? Not equally, but equitably.
Okay.
So, for instance, you might have a situation. I had a divorce that I did, and husband was making like, let's say $120,000, and wife was making, I don't know, about $80,000. When we added up what their assets were, The judge gave her 60% of the marital estate and him 40.
Got it.
The reason being, he was in a better position to continue to make more money and be substantially better in the future than she was. And so they divided the estate a little skewed based on that.
Got it.
So it depends on what you all have as assets. Courts look at a couple of things. There are a couple issues in divorce that I see. Okay, you have your debt, because that is important. Many people have these big fancy cars and not realizing.
Without a doubt.
Yikes, somebody's got to pay for this if this thing ends. And how does that work? So you have debt that you have to look at. You have your assets, which are going to be your retirement accounts, your properties, and your cash. And if you have stocks and bonds and things like that.
Right.
And then you have, I don't usually consider a car. I don't consider that an asset normally because most people have a note.
Yes,
so
indeed.
that one is kind of one of those, okay, you keep your car, they keep their car kind of things.
Right.
And then you have your children. You always, that is one of the most important things that becomes what the court looks at when they're deciding, okay, these people are divorcing. But as far as the things that you have accumulated, I always tell people to look at a divorce like this. You take a look around your house and you put a price tag on everything there, and then you add it up and then you divide it between you two. That is kind of how the court does it. They're going to look at what things do you have that are valuable and then give you some and give your partner some.
Yeah, because when you talk about divorce, in most relationships, when you first meet somebody, you're all in love, everything is going real good. The honeymoon moment or whatever the case may be, you're going on trips, taking pictures, you're posing, everybody's in love. So let's say a couple of years down the road, the reality sets in, as far as, see, it's hard. See, once you get to know people, like, for example, what I've heard is that through my life experience, I always talk about me. See, when you're with somebody, you have to accept everything about them.
Right.
Some things you may not even like, but you accept that about that person because you may have some stuff that they may not like.
Right.
So you accept it. So when that love, after the love is gone, right, and it gets kind of hard. I go to these songs all the time, but I'm not going to sing right now. But after the love is gone, right, then you start seeing a person a different way. And then, sometimes people end up really hating one another. Hating one another after they were in love. You might have some people that have been in love for 14, 15 years, and now they hate each other during the 16th year for whatever reason. So I know how love turns into hate. I understand all the thin line between love and hate, and there is a thin line between, because relationships are rough. Now, I've had my heart broken a couple of times. As men don't talk about it that much. That's right. I've had my heart broken, and I've probably broken a few hearts here or there. But the reality is that it's not a good experience.
Right.
It's not, because when your heart is broken, it appears like you're going through this just yourself. Nobody understands you.
Right.
Because it's a deep down depression type of situation at times. And if you don't have the fortitude to come up out of that, because I know some people that never got over heartbreak. Yeah.
But that's a good example, because just like your heart is whole and your heart is great and your heart is big when you go into your marriage.
Right.
When your heart is broken, you are going to respond and act in that way.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's why I say with a prenuptial agreement, you are negotiating with your partner in good faith.
Okay.
You are negotiating with the partner that you currently love, so that if your heart is broken later, you are not out for blood. You are not trying to destroy your partner and trying to break their heart because they've broken yours.
That's hard. That's easy to say, but it's hard, right? Now, in Illinois, they have another law, right? Is it called like the sunset law or the take my happiness law? Let's say you came home and you saw your wife in bed with another man. Is there a law that, let's say you commit an act of violence against the people. You come home and you see your wife in the bed with another man, and you come in that situation.
What if it's your husband in the bed with another woman?
I mean, either way. I'm talking either way, right? And you hurt that person. Can you beat that case?
You know what?
Right.
You might.
Wow.
I imagine you're going to take a jury trial, and depending on the facts of what happened, you might for sure. Yeah. There is no law that says, if I catch my partner in the bed with another person, that I can automatically be found not guilty. But I think that a lot of times you get together 12 like-minded people. They've probably been hurt before, and they were probably going to manifest the same feelings that you manifested at that moment.
Well, they call that I wouldn't even call it. It's like a crime of passion or like an intense situation. Because when you talk about divorce, it's like I said, sensitive, because so many things take place. And then, like I said, you all start out in love and things go from bad to worse and all that kind of stuff there. So in divorce, when it comes down to a divorce, getting back to the legal parts of it though, most people just not happy, though, in most cases, right? That's just the way it is.
And the law changed now. The only thing, you used to have to plead different reasons for divorce. Now it is irreconcilable differences. That is the only basis in the law for change. And let me tell people this, because a lot of people come into my office and they want to tell me like, oh, well, I did everything. I cooked, I cleaned, or I had paid all the bills and this and that. Here's the truth of the matter. No one cares. It is irreconcilable differences. Whatever reason your marriage broke up, it is what it is. However, a lot of people get upset because their partner has been cheating on them. And so now they're very upset and they want blood in court. And court doesn't work like that. Your rights are the same. So for instance, if you are at work working 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, taking care of your partner who is at home, and she starts sleeping with the mailman, and you find out and now you want her out, guess what? You still have to pay her spousal support. That is the law.
You still have to pay spousal support.
Yes.
Why won't the mailman pay that money?
Guess what? The mailman probably does not want to be involved anymore because now it's not as much fun.
Yeah.
But your partner's rights are the same. Your partner's rights are the same. If that partner cheated or if you cheated, their rights are the same. Okay. And a lot of people get very upset about that when they find out, wait a minute, so this person left me for another person and I still have to give them half of my retirement account? They left me. They abandoned me and the kids. They abandoned me and the family. Guess what? The rights are the same.
But I had to play the devil's advocate because I know the court system. It is what it is.
It is.
But, like you messed around on me. Now I got to give you half of my retirement pay?
No, they're not. You're not giving them half of your retirement pay. You're giving them half of the marital portion, which is also theirs. Because when you get married, just like you said in those vows, two became one. So every dollar you put into that retirement account is also a dollar that your marriage put in. That's so you're dividing that up.
That's like the name of my show is A Touch of Soul. So it puts me in mind with Orange Juice Jones's record called Walking in the Rain. I saw you and him walking in the rain. My voice is a little scrappy this morning, but you were holding hands and I will never be the same. So on this record, what he did, he saw his girl walking in the rain with a guy. And instead of him going crazy, he said, what I did is I came back to the house and I stuck you up for all the jewelry I ever gave you. I took everything out the bank. I took all the furs, blue, diamonds, minks, and everything. He said, you need to get on out of here with that crumb cake, hush puppy shoe wearing guy I saw you with. You dismissed. You without me like cornflakes without the milk, baby. You dismissed. You just a squirrel trying to get a nut. So the point I'm making is this here. Now, because you know how you in a good relationship and everything's going good, so now all of a sudden something has happened to turn the tide in the marriage or the relationship, and now you don't even want to talk to the person.
So in the example that you just gave, when you went and drained all the bank accounts and took all of the assets, that is called dissipation.
Dissipation,
do not dissipate the estate, meaning do not take all the money out because we will get your bank statements and we will find out that you took money out.
And what happens then? I took the money out. What happens?
The court's going to make you pay it back. If you are going on trips with your side piece, the court is going to make you pay those things back. Your marriage is not going to pay for you to have your affairs. You have to pay those things back. Wow. So do not do it. Do not. And if you don't want to share what you accumulate during your marriage because your partner was walking in the rain,
that's what I'm talking about.
Then you need to get a prenuptial agreement.
Yeah, because the brother said, I'm so upset with you in that record. I'm so upset with you, I don't even know what to do. And I started, instead I just chilled. That's what he said. He said he wanted to jammy fly blast both of them. But instead, I chill. That's what Orange Juice Jones said. So, but the reality, I'm just bringing this up in a more comical way as well. But this is reality.
Absolutely.
Things happen out here because, like I said, like for me, I would love to be a woman's friend if we didn't make it. But why is it that some women don't want to be friends if you don't make it? Or vice versa, some men.
Well,
what happens there? I mean, let's say you've been married 15, 19 years, and some things took place. Some things were out of your control. Some things were within your control, but it just didn't work. So all of a sudden now you don't even want to be friends after you spend all them years together.
Because, me personally, I would not want to be friends with my ex because you are ex for a reason. I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to be in your life anymore.
Really?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
For what? I'm going to find another man who's better than you. You can mark my words. It is always going to happen. Yeah. And so he is not going to want you around. So have a nice life. It was nice knowing you. Wow. Enjoy the next 15 years. You will miss me. Trust me.
Well, that's that side of a woman that's really deep. You hear me? That's that side. And going back to Super Soul, R. Kelly had that record, When a Woman's Fed Up.
Yes.
there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely. But
Okay.
even if it's not a bad breakup, I just don't want to be your friend. I don't want to, because here's the thing. For me, if it's a friend, we're going to talk, we're going to go out to eat, we're going to still socialize with each other. It is not as if I won't tell you hello if I see you, or it's not as if you call me and you have a question about something, I wouldn't answer that question. But I'm not going to be your friend. We're not going to spend Thanksgiving
Well,
together.
somebody just posted that people, before they get married, they basically need to understand divorce. There needs to be a conversation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
please.
cool.
Whoever that is,
So wait a
yes,
minute.
let me give you a hug. I always tell people that.
Right.
People, let me tell you my saying. This is my saying. Okay. Marriage is the only contract you sign that you do not know the terms of it until it is breached. And that breach is when you are divorcing.
Well, let me play the devil's advocate once again. Why the hell would I have a conversation about divorce before I get married? Why would I do that?
Because many marriages end in divorce. You need to be realistic with yourself. You need to be realistic with, hey, we are getting married. People don't do this. If you've ever listened to people talk about the wedding. People do not talk about the marriage. Many people. So I'm going to give an example. You have a man that stays out all the time with his friends, right? Every Friday, Saturday, he goes out with his friends having a good time. And now they're getting married. And so wife expects, we're getting married now. He's no longer going to do that. But they have not had that conversation. They haven't had that conversation. Okay. And he's like, man, things are great. I'm going to continue to hang out in the streets all the time, even though I'm married. And that causes a conflict. People don't have these conversations to say, what do I expect of a marriage? How do we do our finances? Okay. How are we going to raise our kids? If people stop and have those conversations and stop worrying about how much they love that person, just because you love somebody doesn't mean you need to marry them. I am different. I see marriage very differently than most people. Most people are like, I'm so in love, I'm going to marry this and that. Right. I'm more like, look, we can look at the love side because people come in and out of love. Yes, but indeed. We also need to look at the business side of this, which is the financial side and how we run this house. Are we going to allow cousins and uncles to come and live with us and brothers and sisters to come and live with us? Or is that a dead bang no? Are you going to make big purchases without talking to me? Or is it one of those things, I'm going to come home and there's a Maserati in the garage? Those things are things you need to talk about and decide whether or not you all see this the same and whether or not you all are going to be in a position to make it long term. And many people aren't. They just aren't.
So for the people watching and listening here, what you said is profound to me. You said the love is going to be there, but we need to talk finances as well.
Business, yes.
Business. That's important because a lot of people just get consumed by the love. Mm-hmm. Taking, like, say, the post
in the wedding. In the wedding. Okay. But what about when this person she can't get her groove back and he can't drop it. I mean, these things are going to happen if you're really truly committed to your partner. People's hair are going to turn gray. People are not going to be able to perform as they used to. Yeah. So now you've got to decide, can I deal with that and how do I deal with it? And then how do you all deal with retirement? How do you deal with your partner no longer being able to do what they used to do in the relationship? That's deep. That's really deep, and I don't even have an answer for that. But because even with me, I just use myself here again. I keep myself nice shaven because I don't want no gray hair to show and all that stuff. I'm just busting my image here live. It doesn't matter because I'm a grown man. It's all good. But a lot of times you're right, because what happens when that partner cannot do what they used to do? Right. A person might get sick or whatever, and then all of a sudden you have to really know that you love that person and hanging there with them. Well, one of the biggest problems I see in some relationships and marriages, even though we're talking about divorce, I don't believe you have to struggle with nobody forever. I agree. Yeah, I don't believe in that. Okay? I agree. And listen, fight me. But I am not going to enter into a relationship to struggle with you. That's my point. I work hard all on my own. So if you don't bring anything to the table, I am going to bid you adieu very quickly. There you go. Because and people, you can call it a gold digger, you can call it whatever you want. But I get up and I make sure that I make it happen all the time for myself. If the man does not come to the table doing the same, we are incompatible. That is it. It is not my duty nor responsibility to wait for you and to hope and to build you up, and you have not even done this for yourself. I'm not waiting for, you're 40 and I'm waiting for you to go to college. Absolutely not. Right on. I love that. So how do people get in contact with you? They can call me. My office number is 773-614-7774. My website is Attorney Maria, Maria, Barlow, BARLOW.com.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely have to get you back on both of my shows, sooner than later, because this is what you call a good conversation. A lot of people saying we need to have these type of conversations because people just don't know. I say, because after the love is gone, a whole lot of things kick in. Now the business kicks in, the finances kick in. Well, I didn't know I had to pay that girl all that money. I'm not even into her like that, okay? So that's what happens a lot of times. So with that being said, it's really deep out here. It's deep, and it's at a point where people just need to become educated.
Yes, and another thing, I'm going to tell you something that happens often, and people don't realize this. You marry a partner who has kids, but the kids live with the other parent.
Yes.
Sometimes something happens and those kids end up living with you. You've got to decide. I would personally decide before I get married whether or not I can deal with your other kids living in the home, even though that's not the current situation.
That's
happens.
Another deep conversation because you bring the kids with you, and then that person might have his or her ways with that. I've experienced that myself sometimes, and that's not easy to deal with all the time.
Absolutely,
it's not because
teenagers. What if you get teenagers who are coming, disrupting your home, influencing your little ones, staying out all night, sneaking in, smoking pot, doing different things? You've got to think about, how does my partner rear their kids? Because that's important.
Now, that's a whole nother conversation. I definitely want to talk about stepkids, how to deal with, address those issues. Because some people don't, like, for example, you with a woman and she has kids already, you're in a relationship with her, if you try to discipline, I'm not saying physically, but tell the kids something, then the woman starts looking at you funny, or vice versa.
Absolutely. That's a huge problem, and that breaks up a lot of relationships. Wow. And guess what? That also leads to a lot of orders of protection. Why? You're here. You're stepping up as step parent, you discipline the kid, and then here comes the other parent wanting to fight or confront you because you disciplined their kid.
Wow. Now that's something else. So we definitely want to take that conversation on soon as we can, because I think people need to hear those conversations and then work on solutions. But these are all the things you should know and work out before you get married.
At a minimum, think about. Yes. At a minimum, think about it. And many people aren't getting married. So you also want to think about this before you move in together, because a lot of people aren't getting married. They're just living together and things like that.
Okay.
And guess what? To each their own. There's no shame in that. But these are things. With the financial part, it's a little different if you're just living together and not married. But when it comes to the kids and living together, you need to consider that. But these kids might be coming to you.
But just one last thing also, when it comes down to shared bank accounts and all that, I think, this is just my personal, the man should have his bank account and the woman should have her bank account. But put the lady's name on your account in case something happens to you, though. I'm all for that. Something happened to me, she needs to be able to get, the money.
As a beneficiary, though, not necessarily. But if you're married, here's the thing. If you're married, again, we are two becoming one. Okay. So I have no problem with you having your separate bank account, but I also don't expect. So for me, for my marriage to work, you know what I want? I want a joint account, and we're both going to put X amount in per month, and then we make it work.
Okay.
Because we know what our budget is, and we know what we need to put in.
I got it.
Okay. And so for me, that's something that I think will work, because now we both know what we're committing to. We both know what our finances are and what we're putting into those accounts, and this is what makes this family run.
Okay, cool. So, my voice is a little scrappy today, so I'm not going to sing. I'm not going to sing us out today. My voice is a little scrappy, what do you call it, scrappy or whatever. But I think this has been a great conversation in regards to just educating the people. And we definitely need more time. This is more like a 2 or 3 hour discussion. And it's been a fun show with you as well on A Touch of Soul on What's in It for the Black People's Network. And I want to thank you all for watching, and share this video with all your associates and friends worldwide. Peace. All right.
They call him Mr. Ceasefire. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Stopping shootings and killings almost every day. Trying to make a better way. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Mr. Ceasefire. He's a man on a mission with a plan. Doing the best he can. A true champion for the people.